start by taking the ends off the carrot, and I'm going to cut it in half lengthwise and then in half again, so I've got quarters. If you've got a bit of a bigger carrot, then it might be a bit more difficult to do that. So cut it into slices and then cut the slices into quarters. Okay, we're looking for quite small bits so that it cooks fairly quickly and we're not going to end up with crunchy carrot. Next is the onion. Peel the onion first, take the peel off it, leave the root end on. I've cut the top off when I cut it in half, and we're going to cut this again into small pieces. So using your claw method, you're cutting down the lines on the onion and then turn it round. I've got a couple of brown bits in the middle here, so I'm going to just pick them out and use your claw again to hold that together until, and so that you cut thin slices of onion, which are going to in turn cut into tiny little pieces. Next is the green pepper, so take the core out. Now this isn't in the recipe, but it goes quite nicely in this one, so if you've got a bit of pepper, then I would get that in there. Always good to add a little bit more vegetables, cutting it into small cubes. And then lastly, we've got some garlic, so just take the ends off. You can use a garlic press or you can cut it into small bits with a knife, it doesn't really matter. So next up is the sausages. I'm cutting them on a red chopping board because we've got those at school. But if you haven't, then just make sure you're using a clean chopping board and a clean knife. And once you're finished, please make sure that you wash your hands. Raw meat can carry bacteria and you don't want to spread that around the kitchen. I'm adding the oil to the pan and I'm going to cook the sausages for about 5 minutes. We want to do that until they're fairly well cooked because they come out of the pan and they're added at the end. So on a medium kind of heat, and just keep stirring them. They may stick to the bottom, you need to keep stirring, and if they're going too brown then you need to turn it down a little bit. But you want the sausages to be thoroughly cooked. Once they are cooked, then take them off, just put them on a plate, and don't worry about if there's any brown bits at the bottom. You can see I've got quite a bit of brown on the bottom of there, but that's just the sausages caramelising, and it will come off as I saute my vegetables in the same pan. So you're not using another pan, you don't have any more washing up to do. So we're just going to cook the vegetables for 3 minutes, okay, until they start to soften. And that flavour from the sausages will add to the vegetable taste and helps to flavour the dish. So our next step is to add the rest of the ingredients into the pan. So it's half a chicken stock cube and water, and then we've got some lentils, 50 grams, and we've got a teaspoon of vinegar, and I've got some thyme here because I didn't have any rosemary, which goes quite nice with these sausages, and some salt and pepper. Okay, if you wanted, you could put a little bit of chilli powder in for a different taste. That would go okay as well if you didn't fancy the herbs or any other herbs really that would go in. You're going to put in your 100 ml of chopped tomatoes, and you're going to give that a good stir. So it looks a bit runny at the moment, but remember that liquid will evaporate, but it will also absorb into the lentils. So the lentils are dried, and as they cook they absorb water and get soft, and you want to cook that until the lentils are soft. which is roughly 10 to 15 minutes. Once you've got that on, you'll see it's starting to come to the boil now, and then we want to turn it down so that it's simmering. Okay, so simmering is small bubbles, boiling is big bubbles. So simmering until those lentils are cooked. I'm going to put the lid on just to make sure that all the water doesn't evaporate too quickly. Okay, you can see it's had just over 10 minutes there. It's still a bit of liquid there, but it's looking quite thick. The lentils have absorbed that water. I'm going to stir in the sausages, give them a good stir, and we're going to put it back on the heat with the lid on for 3 minutes. If it started to stick, then turn it down a little bit at this point. Okay, it's had its 3 minutes. There we are. You can see it's not evaporated too much. Still a bit of a sauce there, so it's not all dry. And I'm just going to serve it in 2 bowls. So it would serve 2 people for a bit of a lunch. You might eat all that yourself if you're having it as a big meal, but you could serve it with some salad or some crusty bread if you wanted to make it a little bit more filling. As I say, you can add different vegetables to it, but it's a really tasty, quick, easy and cheap dish.